Hello everyone, and we'll be talking about my latest book. It's my second book called Ma, What Are You Cooking? It's a cookbook and food guide. It's very, very thick. There's a lot of information. It's actually two books in one, and it's a story of my family. It's not just about my great family. It's about how my family has been deeply involved in food and wine for many hundreds of years. And so I put it all together and gave it all to you. Not all of it, really. I could have written 10 times more, but I think 400 pages is enough. And if you really want great recipes, it's in here. But more importantly, what this book has is a lot of educational stuff. So before you learn about pasta recipes, you're gonna get everything you possibly need to know in an easy to understand format about pasta. The same thing about meat, all the different cuts, different types of offal, all of it, seafood, vinegar, water, but most important, one of my favorites is olive oil. Now, why is olive oil so important to me? Well, my mother has an olive grove. We still have it. It's me and my brothers now, I guess. And all my family has olive groves. Just my mother's olive grove alone is 600 olive trees. That's a lot. When you include all her sisters, and then on my father's side, at one point we had about 5,000 olive groves. So not only was my family a very important food producing family with world-class restaurants and a wine store that me and my brother have, but we're a serious olive oil family for many hundreds of years. And also obviously wine too, but olive oil is really, you cut open our veins and that's what comes out. Well, in this book, Ma, What Are You Cooking? I actually dedicate almost 30 pages just to understanding olive oil. And basically, besides becoming a scientist, you're gonna know everything you need to know about olive oil with a few quick reads, and it's in a fun format, and it's everything you need to know. And I guarantee you'll look at olive oil completely different. So, but today I wanna talk about, of the many different things, I wanna talk about a few of the olive oil things that you should know. So, one reason why olive oil is so important, and keep in mind, when my father came to this country, they said, do not have olive oil. In fact, if you have heart problems, don't have it, because it was the greasy thing that Southern European Catholics had. Now we know better. We know olive oil is extremely healthy, and you should be consuming it. Unfortunately, most olive oil on the market is fake, it's garbage, and a lot of it can actually be dangerous. But I can make another video, or you can just read the book, if you really want to learn about olive oil and how to look for the right ones. But I want to talk about a few important things. Let's talk about the important players in olive oil. Let's talk about how that plays into free fatty acidity for extra virgin. And then we're going to talk about that burning cough, which is not acidity. So the main players in olive oil are, they're all polyphenols. They're phenolic compounds. And what are they? They're very important to have oxidative properties. Now, when you take an olive from a tree, I don't know if you know this, but you cannot eat it. You'll go insane at how bitter it is. So you actually have to cure the olives, and there are different ways to cure the olives. You have to remove a lot of the bitter compounds. One of the most bitter compounds is oleuropein, and you draw it out. Now, of course, some of it still exists. It even exists in the leaves. When you make olive oil, you throw in some leaves to get a little bitterness, and it's very healthy for you. It's unbearable. So that's when you're curing olives. Funny enough, when you're curing olives, you can allow it to ferment, but you can't allow olives to ferment to making olive oil, which is unfortunately what too many people do. Other important players are Oleokanthal. Oleokanthal is actually structurally, chemically, the chemical structure is similar to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medicine like ibuprofen, Motrin, Advil, that kind of stuff. And it actually reduces inflammation, very good and very healthy. And of course, hydroxytyrosol and tyrosol, plus many, many more, and we're constantly discovering. So those things are very important to know. Why are they very important to know? Well, they go into the free fatty acidity as it affects extra virgin, getting that classification, and then about the burning cough. Now, when you're talking about fat in olive oil, you're talking about free fatty acidity. Now, the main fatty acid in olive oil is oleic acid, from the Latin. In Italian, oleo is oil. So that's where you get it from. It's the main fatty acid, but of course there are different ones. Now, all the fatty acids, they're made up of a glycerol and 3 chains of fatty acids, kind of looking like the letter E. Each olive can have different ones. Some can be longer, shorter, etc., etc. What happens is that if they're damaged at any point, or mishandled, or insects, diseases, bad weather, bad harvesting practices, etc., they can get damaged. Now, there exist enzymes in the olive locked away in a compartment called lipase. Anything with ASE is an enzyme. Anything with OSE is a sugar. I studied to be a doctor, by the way. I didn't do it, but remember that. So lipase is an enzyme. Once the fruit gets damaged, all the fat molecules start to break down because these lipases start to interact with the water in a process called hydrolysis. Once that happens, the fat molecules start to break down in a process called lipolysis from lipid, meaning fat. And these fatty acids start to break away from that letter E, and they become free fatty acids. And that increases the level of free fat acidity. So what that does is, that's not good. You want olive oil to have as low as possible free fatty acidity. Now, what do these governing bodies allow? Up until about 20 years ago, extra virgin olive oil was classified as less than 1% free fatty acidity. Then they said, hey, we'll make it 0.8. Now, that may sound good, but the only reason why they did that is so a lot of countries and a lot of companies can put their inferior and unhealthy products on the market, because anything close to 0.8 is way too high. In fact, all serious olive oil producers will try to aim for 0.2 or less. I've had some good olive oils at 0.3, but 0.2, 0.1, those are really the best ones. So anytime you hear a company or a country brag about how much of their production is extra virgin, you have to look around it, look at the inside numbers, because a lot of their production has free fatty acidity hovering around the 0.8. So that doesn't mean anything. So if one country produces 100 bottles and 90% are close to 0.8, but another country produces 50 bottles, but 40% of the 50 are around 0.2 or less, they might be producing less amount of extra virgin bottles, but they have a higher percentage. So that's all BS. Don't pay attention to it. So the rules are too loose, as they are for something called peroxide, but I'm not going to get into that. How does this play in with the burning cough? These polyphenols, oleokanthal, hydroxytyrosol, tyrosol, oleuropein, they actually burn your throat. Ti pizzica in gola, that's what it's called in Italian. A lot of people will taste olive oils like that and say, oh, well, they must be acidic. It's almost impossible to taste acidity unless you have taken it to a lab or have a machine in your home, which I doubt you have. So if it burns, it's because of the polyphenols. And that's actually good. In fact, the more burning means the healthier it is. So you need that kind of burn because it's a peppery, grassy kind of finish. And what's interesting enough is that comes from more unripe, greener olives, as opposed to what has historically been done, which is make olives from more ripe black olives, which I love too. But the more ripe black olives can oxidize by then, can be deteriorated by then, and they risk having a higher level of free fatty acidity. And they have a different color. The ones that are picked earlier, as has been done in the region of Tuscany, the Romans had their own system 2,000 years ago of which is better, and they preferred the olives which were greener. And you get those green olives, they're green because of the chlorophyll. When you have the more black olives, you do risk getting less of the polyphenols, and you get more of a tan golden color, and that's because of the carotenoids in the olives, and they have more of like a nutty kind of round feeling as opposed to the green sharp ones, which are grassy, artichoke, and that kind of stuff. So that's what you should look into. I don't know where to start, but where you can start is by picking up this book, Ma, what are you cooking? Because what I just described, there's an endless amount of that information, including on, how to pick the right olive oil, types of olive oils that we love from different countries, not just Italy. Greece makes amazing olive oils. France too, Spain, Portugal, Australia, California. So many of these countries are coming up. Italy happens to be the number one, but we have olive oils from all over. I have olive oils from every different country because I really support it. Olive oil is the best type of cooking fat. It's the healthiest one. You should have it as much as possible. Throw it all over douse your food in it. We anoint our food. Un filo d'olio, a string of oil on all our food. It's a great way to anoint a dish, to accentuate a dish. Learn more about that, and I'll be doing more videos about other things. And Ma, What Are You Cooking? By Gianluca Rotura. You can pick it up. Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Nobles, Target. It's going to be on pre-order until December 7th. And then it's official, but you can order it now.